So now the welcome, officially welcome. Welcome to all the dignitaries, all the participants, all the speakers from different countries. Let me introduce again. We had started this series on localizing SDG as a global forum for sustainable rural development. We focus on rural development and sustainable rural development, and we believe on localization of sustainable rural development. And as a result, we started our series on SDG 1, 2, 3, 4. Even last year also we did SDG 5, but this year again we are starting our journey in the month of January. So why not we start it again with the SDG 5? And we are happy that this time Global Forum for Sustainable Rural Development, a lot of people, they responded and they are willing to present their views on different aspects of gender equality in terms of their country, because there are almost 24 speakers from 14 countries, and also different aspects related to gender in their different sector. So with this is a very important issue, because all the goal, whatever from stage 1 to stage goal number 17, everywhere the women are playing a very vital role and have to play the very vital role, and these are all effective. And when we are coming back to as we are starting from India from the very beginning, we have lot of initiative, as well as intervention in the field of gender equality. And those aspects we will going to present here. I will request all the speakers kindly concise and confine yourself on the areas of gender equality. Gender equality is not necessarily only the women issue, but other aspects related to that. And who are presenting from your country perspective, kindly again present on the country. The time slot for each of you are 10 minutes. We try to make what is your prescription, what is the process. Once again, with this, let me introduce our guests. Two special guests for today, and we are happy that with us. This is the first time in our platform. AYAMORI MATSUURA, ma'am, welcome to you. And this IS is a gender specialist of the ILO, International Labour Organization, Decent Work Technical Support Team for the South Asia, based in New Delhi. She provides technical advisory support services to 7 countries in the sub-region: Afghanistan, Bangladesh, India, Maldives, Nepal, Pakistan, and Sri Lanka. Aya has been working to advance the gender equality and women empowerment in the world of work. Specific areas of her work include promoting equality and non-discrimination, women's economic and social empowerment, and women's entrepreneurship development, decent work for women in the informal economy, such as home-based workers and domestic workers, and addressing gender-based violence and issues in the care economy. She is currently part of the team working on the regional report on child care, which is a joint work by the ILO, Asian Development Bank, UNRISD, and UNEP. Before joining the DWT, she worked as a chief technical advisor of the ILO Way Out of the Informality project in Delhi, which worked on supporting the transition from the informal to the formal economy in Bangladesh, India, and Nepal. She also worked in various roles in Indonesia, Bangladesh, Vietnam, and Thailand. We are very happy to receive our guest of honor for today. And again, let me introduce my chief guest for this program, Srimati Meenakshi Datta.
You already done that. You already done
already done that. Yes, and so with this, and we have with us Dr. Helen Sekhar. She is a senior fellow from Degree National Labour Institute, one of the premier institute in the field of labor studies. So with this, let me start our program. And in the very beginning, I will request our guest of honor, AYAMORI, to give her thought on that issue. Welcome, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you, Jayanta, for inviting me. And yeah, because I, don't have a lot of kind of context for this gathering, so I just thought I would introduce ILO's approach to this topic. So maybe many of you are familiar already, but in case not, I'm working for the International Labour Organization office in New Delhi, covering South Asia. So ILO is a specialized UN agency working on labor issues. And it was founded in 1919, so it's been over 100 years. And the goal of the ILO is to realize decent work for all. So you may have heard about decent work. So decent work is a productive employment carried out in conditions of freedom, equity, security, and human dignity. So of course, employment, it has to come with fair income, it has to be safe, it has to be secure, it has to include the social protection, and also it has to include opportunities for personal development, etc. ILO is a unique UN organization in a way that it is a tripartite organization. So it's not only governed by government, but also social partners, meaning employers' organization and workers' organizations. Because in the world of work, the cooperation of these three partners, government, employers' organization, and workers' organization, is very important. And main areas of work of the ILO is to develop and adopt labor standards. So you may wonder, it's too general, but nowadays we talk about 8 hours a day, or no child labor, no forced labor. These are all standards that have been, discussed by tripartite constituents and adopted by ILO at the International Labour Conference. So, these standards are developed towards the realization of decent work for all. So we, of course, have a number of labor standards like conventions and recommendations. And also we have framework like declarations that promote decent work that are particularly relevant for gender equality. So I will introduce some of them. In addition to, of course, developing labor standards, ILO's core work also includes supporting governments, employers' organization, and workers' organization to implement these labor standards, so that it's not only about development of international laws in forms of convention and recommendation, but they can be translated into action at the country level. So, of course, this, I think, topic is SDG 5 and rural economy. So from the ILO's perspective, obviously, rural economy is also an important area to work on. ILO recognizes that, women in rural economy, they are key players in terms of wage earners. They are often contributing family workers, often unpaid. And they are also carers for family members, including children and elderly. And they are also maybe entrepreneurs. And then in addition to that, often in case they are from indigenous communities, and even if they're not from indigenous communities, they are very knowledgeable about traditional knowledge, which can be key for livelihoods and resilience and culture. So despite all these important contributions they make, we recognize that they face a lot of challenges in accessing decent work. So if they're not working with fair pay, that's already not decent work. So decent work deficit. So they also face a lot of gender-based discrimination. They also are vulnerable to violence and harassment in case they also work in isolation. They also have a lot of unpaid care work because they may also not have access to a lot of facilities that other women maybe in urban areas they would be able to access in terms of health clinic or childcare facilities or elderly care, etc. And they also face a lot of challenges in accessing education. They may have also mobility issues in general. And they also have, challenges in terms of accessing property rights, which is also crucial for advancing their capacity or advancing, in relation to their earning capacity, being independent, etc. They're also more vulnerable to environmental disasters and climate change. So really promoting and advancing gender equality is necessary if we want to achieve inclusive and sustainable development. So what ILO has as kind of backbone for advancing gender equality, we're talking about, same human rights and workers' rights. So, we are not saying women and men need to be the same. ILO recognize that women and men are different. Only women obviously become pregnant, so they need maternity protection. But in terms of rights to be free from discrimination, to be treated fairly, we're talking about advocating for same human and workers' rights. And when we talk about gender equality, important component in the world of work is also equal pay for work of equal value. Often women are working, often in agriculture also, women are paid less because of the gender bias that inform people, decision makers, that women are weaker, they're not productive, therefore they receive less pay. These are often not correct because a lot of women workers carry out also heavy work in terms of maybe caring for elderly patients or children, engaging lifting of heavy bodies, etc. So based on gender bias, women face also a lot of discrimination, and that also result in less pay. We're also talking about equal treatment and valuation, and that includes also for women to be, free from violence and harassment. Of course, violence and harassment needs to be eliminated for everyone, but women and girls are particularly vulnerable. So attention is really required to prevent violence and harassment. And we also need to work towards fair distribution of responsibilities, because unpaid care work is a huge burden currently, which is blocking a lot of women to access work and also remain in the labor market and advance in their career. In case of India, I think on average, women spend almost 10 times more time than men per day on unpaid care work. So of course, when women are very time poor and they are not able to access educational activities, or they would just not have time for a lot of income generating activities. We also need to work towards equality in representation and decision making. Women tend to be still less represented in decision making processes. So a lot of issues that they face, they're not surfacing into the attention of policymakers. So these are something that we need to keep in mind as we work on advancing, towards advancing gender equality. To support people in the field as well as policymakers, we have key conventions and recommendations on gender in the areas of equal remuneration, on discrimination, on workers with family responsibilities, about maternity protection, about violence and harassment and domestic work, homework, and also recommendation to support transition from the informal to formal economy, and also to promote equality for people from indigenous background. So these conventions and recommendations, they provide important guidance to government, employers, and workers' organizations to take action to address inequalities and promote gender equality. And these conventions and recommendations are available on ILO website. So please have a look to see what's inside. So in terms of ILO action area for promoting gender equality in rural economy, we highlight certain areas. The first one is the importance of employment creation. We really need to work on employment creation so that women, can access those jobs, or women can also start enterprises themselves. We also need to ensure respect for fundamental principles and rights at work, no child labor, no forced labor, and no discrimination, and right to join trade unions, etc. And we also need to pay attention to their women's, not only women's, of course, men's access to social protection. In rural areas, they also have probably limited access to different schemes. And then the last point is a social dialogue. We need to promote women's representation in social dialogue, as a lot of social dialogue forums are still male-dominated. So in terms of creating jobs and care solution in the formal economy, what do we do? So for creating jobs, we provide a number of policy advice, and we also have a number of tools to support local economic development, like entrepreneurship development training program. We also support sometimes countries with different projects that include comprehensive components to support local development. That would include economic development. So for example, entrepreneurship development for women. The program can also include training on workers' rights, and training can also include occupational safety and health, and maybe technical training on green jobs or jobs in the new agriculture.
Global Sustainable Development Rural India. कुछ ऐसे
And then we also support countries in protecting women from unacceptable forms of work. So really promoting a world of work free from violence and harassment by raising awareness on what constitutes violence and harassment, and supporting local government as well as national government to strengthen their legal framework on violence and harassment. And also we provide policy advice on enhancing social protection to women in rural economy. And we also carry a number of training to women workers themselves, along with men workers, to promote gender equality and also to support women's advancement in leadership and decision-making process. So these are some of the kind of key areas of action. And for example, I share a story from Sri Lanka, where we also supported livelihood opportunities for women in conflict-affected area in the north of Sri Lanka, where we provided support in women in creating cooperatives, and then to strengthen value chain in the agricultural products, so that they can also, ensure their livelihoods through agricultural products and earning activities. And then we also provided, training on gender equality, so that, they can also promote gender equality in local areas, and also practice their leadership skills as they advance in their cooperatives and try to enhance their businesses, etc. I also had in the past project in Vietnam, where we worked in rural areas and supported both women and men in promoting awareness on gender equality, workers' rights, about rights to fair pay, also entrepreneurship development training, so knowledge on how to start and develop their business. And then also cooperated with local agriculture department to start a new agricultural products, etc. And then, training also on occupational safety and health to promote their living environment in general, to improve their working and living conditions. So these are some of the examples I can share today. So today is a very short time. So in case you're interested, please access ILO website to find out more. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, ma'am. And in fact, as I mentioned in the chat, in the WhatsApp also, that we are going for a series. So not in the chat box with your personal chat. That this is a SDG 5. Then we will go next month SDG 7, 6, then 7 and 8 will come when ILO and you have to take the bigger role. And if possible, you can also support us to recommending good person as a speaker. And also jointly we can do that, which is important. And thank you very much for joining us. And we have taken a lot of insight. In fact, the various way, even India, the gender budgeting things, gender responsive things are also taking very way. Even the state initiative programs are like not only the central government, but the state initiative programs are there. And even in our G20 things, that Women 20, we are going to showcase all these things. Even that not only the in terms of the women culture, their practices and other things are also we are going to showcase in the G20 presidency this year. So, and your valuable thought and insight and across the region, because you had opportunity to work in so many other 7 countries, so you can make a better insight on the gender. With this, thank you very much. Though I know there's a very limited time, but in the coming days, we'll get you in a better way. Thank you, ma'am, for joining us.